plaguing residents in the north. Neighborhoods in Whitehorse have been hearing what people describe as an annoying hum. So people are taking to social media to speculate about what might be causing that. Many have suspected the diesel generators are to blame, but Yukon Energy says it's not them. And residents have been left in the dark about what's making the noise. Here's what some of them told CBC News.
Almost like a deep hum or a whirl.
Like it sounds like electrical, but it's new.
I had been wondering about some sound. I noticed it. I've been walking to the pool, and I was thinking they were snow plowing Valley View, but then I have friends at Valley View, and then when I go visit them, it's not plowed, so that's not the noise.
I noticed a few times the last while when we open our windows, there's like a low mechanical humming sound happening. I thought someone was maybe using machinery, but it seems quite repetitive and random.
So what could this noise be? Our next guest has investigated these kinds of noises before. Colin Novak is a mechanical engineering professor at the University of Windsor. Thank you so much for joining us. Based on your experience, what stands out to you about what's happening in Whitehorse?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind listening to those comments is it's very similar to what we experienced here in Windsor about 10 years ago, where people are saying it's a low frequency hum. Some people can hear it, some people can't. There's a lot of parallels with what we heard.
And in the end, what was the cause of the hum in Windsor?
Well, in our case, we pretty much determined that it was the blast furnaces from U.S. Steel on the U.S. side of the Detroit River.
And what do you think might be causing the sound in Whitehorse?
That's a very good question. First thing I'd want to know is there anything different? Has anything changed? I understand that the water levels are low and they have been using the diesel generators backup more than they normally do. And that would still be the first thing that I would look at. These things have maintenance issues. I know the operators had said that they looked at it and they don't think that that's it. But there's other possibilities too. What people are hearing may not be an airborne excitation. In other words, noise coming right off the generator. It could be coming through the ground in the form of a vibration. Then when it reaches the people, they hear that, particularly if they're in their houses, because their houses will start to shake. So I don't know whether the operators had looked at that. There could be a maintenance issue with with how the generators are isolated from the ground. That would be one of the first places that I would look.
You know, I love the fact that because of your expertise, you have this disarmingly simple question that you ask, and it hadn't occurred to me till you did, and that is, what's changed? Because the hum wasn't there before, now it's here. And so let's talk a little bit more about those generators. I mean, Yukon Energy says it is highly unlikely that it's coming from them. So I know you touched on it, but what could have changed where those generators weren't creating this discernible hum and might be now?
Yeah, it could be simple as, like I said, how they're mounted to the plinths on the ground. These things are often isolated to prevent vibrations from going into the ground, or they're bolted down to very heavy seismic sinks or big blocks of concrete. How these are mounted may have changed with them using them more often. Things do come loose, and again, that's kind of like where I would start looking. I've investigated a dozen hums in the past, and usually there's a fairly straightforward answer to what's causing them, although it just may not be obvious at first. And you just got to start asking the right questions.
And so we have about a minute left. I feel like there would be technology that could definitively answer this question. Is there?
Yeah, absolutely. What I would do, I would start quantifying both the noise and the vibration from the unit itself. I'd set up vibration monitors on the ground, measure the noise, and I'd look at the frequency spectrum. Think of that almost as a fingerprint of the emissions coming off of this. And then I'd go measure somewhere else where people are hearing it and see if I could pick up that same frequency signature or fingerprint. That way I'd be able to at least say for sure that it was it. And if it is different, then I could start looking elsewhere.
Well, you're taking all the romance out of this mystery, but the scientific approach sounds very sensible. Colin Novak is a mechanical engineering professor at the University of Windsor. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Ian.